Welcome back to another edition of the Disney Dish Podcast with Jim Hill. It's me, Len Testa, and this is our show for the week of April 11th, 2019. On the show today, Disney's filed a new patent for something called an interactive space based on predicted events. We'll go through that. Plus, rumors about Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway and other Disney theme park news. Plus, we talk about a new survey Disney just sent out asking questions about new characters. But first, let's bring in the man who's been known to flip through a Big Mac like a wad of cash, while the McDonald's employee behind the register says, "It's all there, man, I swear." One Mr. Jim Hill. Jim, how's it going?
If you remember from the commercial, it's 12 beef patties, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions on a sesame seed bun. And, they miss the pickle sometimes, all right? I'm sorry. I'm kind of a stickler.
Trust but verify, Jim. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, all right. Sorry. Kind of sensitive. Okay. So,
Jim, before we begin, let's do a quick shout out to subscribers over at disneydish.bandcamp.com. Thanks to new subscribers, number one fan, Gordon Yu and Chewbacca, and longtime subscribers, Thomas A., Anthony S., and Ken H. Fun fact, Jim, the entire script for Captain Jack's Pirate Tutorial came from a Disney intern following these folks around Epcot while they were doing Drinking Around the World during Food and Wine one year.
I learned so much from you.
Just from this little thing right here.
There we go. So,
all right, Jim, let's do the news. Disney Dish News is brought to you by Storybook Destinations, trusted travel partner of the Disney Dish Podcast. For a worry-free travel experience every time, book online at storybookdestinations.com. Don't forget they've got that cruise with Scott Sanders, our friend from the Disney Cruise Line blog, June 19th through the 23rd. It's got a double dip on Castaway Cay, and it is on the Disney Dream, one of my favorite ships. So do that if you can. Mm-hmm. All right, Jim, this week, Disney announced Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party dates, starting November 8th, running through December 22nd. 23 days, I believe. Mm-hmm. Typically Sundays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays. I think that's one more than last year. And ticket prices range from $99 to $139 plus tax. At the high end, that's $10 more than in 2018. Jim, frankly, I was surprised there was only one more than last year.
From an operational point of view, you can only stuff so many of these in here. Do you remember when Disney actually made a run at trying to make Easter like this?
Yeah, with the Pirate and Princess Party, was that it?
Not only that, but for a time they actually did the broadcast on ABC of Disney's Easter Parade.
Easter Parade, yeah, right, yeah.
It just was one of those things that never got the traction, but...
Yeah, I think spring holidays, everyone's off that post-Christmas high. They're paying their Christmas bills. Mm-hmm. In April, they've got taxes due, which is not a good time for...
There we go.
For holidays, right?
What is it? April is the cruelest month. Isn't that the T.S. Eliot quote?
I just know it from Bill Murray, but okay, your thing too.
Well, there we go.
He did a Cubs broadcast one time with Harry Carey, and that was one of his quotes.
Oh, okay.
Jim, the other big piece of news, the last Illuminations ever, scheduled for Monday, September 30th, 2019. Epcot Forever debuts the next night on October 1st. September 30th, Jim, also the anniversary of La Cava del Tequila. So guess what I'm doing that night, Jim? Sometimes, Jim, my schedule just writes itself.
There we go. Given all the great concerts you've been to, I think you should get a set of commemorative touring plan lighters created so that, when the very last illumination ends, everybody can to light their lighters, just like at a great concert, and hope for the encore.
That's not a bad idea at all. I actually may or may not have looked into how much it would cost to sponsor the last Illumination show.
Oh, okay.
We'll see.
All right.
Jim, I want to get your take on a couple of rumors that have been floating around. On April 1st, I heard that Disneyland had about 8 weeks of construction work left for Galaxy's Edge. Now, you would think, James, that would be fine because it opens May 31st and there are 9 weeks before April 1st and May 31st. The problem is that construction has to be finished before they can bring in cast members to have park ops do the actual training. And I'm told they need 4 weeks to train. So we've got 12 weeks of work to fit into 9 weeks on the calendar. Jim, what's the mood over in Disneyland right now?
It's a little tense. Well, look, everybody recognizes that's inside of Black Spire Outpost that this is a game changer. This is cutting edge work, and when it finally gets open and running the way it's supposed to, it is going to fundamentally change the Disney theme park experience. The fact that They are going to basically have to do training around finishing of props and painting and even just things like area lighting and all that. I mean, it is a tense time. Everybody's excited, but there is genuinely a concern about, are we going to be able to get this done? And the button that they keep pushing is, well, remember, in 1955, they didn't put down the pavement on Main Street.
The night before.
So it's like, there's kind of a tradition when, so it's like, okay, all right.
I think, Jim, what we're going to find out very soon is that there were a lot more dirt walkways in Batu than we originally thought.
Go figure, Len. So.
All right. So you think that they're prioritizing the operational aspects before the lighting and the landscaping and things like that?
It's important here to sort of make the parallel between when Universal opened Escape from Gringotts. The ride was open, and there were still props out on the loading dock. So,
Oh, yeah. I remember it opened for like 10 minutes the first day. And it was like, well, technically it opened.
There we go.
But then we stopped running.
Yeah, and they did for a week to 10 days after Diagon Alley opened. They would chase everybody out of the park, and then they'd go back to work. And that's going to be happening also with Galaxy's Edge in California.
All right, fair enough. Jim, over in Walt Disney World, work also continues at Hollywood Studios for Galaxy's Edge, and also with some concern. One of the first things that Disney did in preparation for the crowds for Galaxy's Edge over at Hollywood Studios was launch this Lightning McQueen's Racing Academy back behind Rock and Roller Coaster. But Jim, ever since the opening weekend, it looks like attendance here is sparse. There hasn't been a wait to get into any show, and the shows themselves are not full. And that is not good, because if nobody wants to see it, then it's not going to help with capacity come August 31st. So, Jim, what's Disney's plans for this once Galaxy's Edge opens? Are they just thinking that people are going to have to visit it because everything else is going to be full?
You also have to understand, this is Cars. This is one of the company's biggest franchises. Right now, if you press them on this issue, it's like, look, we're still in soft opening mode. We haven't begun the promotion. And in fact, supposedly there will be, starting on May 1st, the 30th anniversary, you'll see a lot more signage. You'll see the guide for the park. We'll put the show on the cover, that sort of thing. In a lot of ways, we are dealing with an unfortunate positioning of this attraction. I mean, it's way the hell down there, deep in the park off of Sunset Boulevard. And if you're in Sunset, you're walking down the Tower of Terror and a rock and roller coaster. You're barely aware that the Lightning McQueen Racing Academy is back there. So there's been some discussion about, do they bring the Mater drive-around character that is so popular in California at Cars Land? And they got some pretty significant pushback from Imagineering about that. And it was just sort of like, Mater doesn't belong on Sunset Boulevard. The whole notion of rolling him up to the top off of Sunset onto Hollywood Boulevard, it would be a lot of fun for people, but it's like, it breaks the theming. So it's like, we need another way to do this. The attraction is where the attraction is. It's ridiculously flexible. I don't know if you've seen it yet, Len, but as heavily screen-based as it is, this thing can easily transition.
It could be an aquarium, a video aquarium tomorrow.
Yeah. But at the same time, from the Cars franchise, you can get a Christmas show in there easily. You can get a Halloween show in there early or easy. It's kind of unfortunate because as of right now, there are no plans to continue with the Cars franchise. Pixar's become kind of sensitive about the fact that it seems to be a sequel factory. That said, it's worth noting here, Drew just saw a good portion of Toy Story 4 and has nothing but good things to say about it. It looks like a great film, but
still, because didn't they branch off when they did Cars? They did airplanes and boats, but it was like direct to video.
They did. Right now, they view it's a decent attraction, but it's a positioning and it's a promotion problem.
Okay, so the fact that it's in the middle of nowhere and okay, all right. Yeah, they can't. So they can do some of that.
Yeah, they can't change anything about the position, but they can do more promotion. And we'll see what happens.
All right, cool. Jim, one other quick thing. Rumors have started to float around that Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway might not be open in time for Galaxy's Edge on August 29th. So the hope has always been that Runaway Railway would be open because it'll handle something like 2,000 to 3,000 people per hour, and it'd be a new ride for people to go on while they waited for the Galaxy's Edge attractions. But without that, Jim, I'm calculating that the studio's ride-in show capacity is somewhere around 15,000 people per hour. That's not a lot because without Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, that one ride probably drops the park's capacity by about 5 or 10,000 people because a lot of the park's capacity is determined by how much area there is for people to stand, which is a safety thing. But also Disney's concerned about guest satisfaction. So the length of the ride lines comes into play. And Disney does not want there to be an average 3-hour wait for every ride. So they'll cap people for that. Jim, what's the backup plan if Runaway Railway isn't ready for August 29th?
First of all, this isn't an if. Never mind about August. This may not be ready till December?
I haven't heard a specific thing other than not August.
Yeah, the last thing I heard, everybody who's seen the tests, everybody who's seen the playthrough, that sort of thing, it's just sort of like, it's an amazing attraction when it works and when it will be done. But when you are pulling all of your troops to go work on Galaxy's Edge to make that deadline, I brought up the issue you talked about in regard to, there's only so many construction workers in, Central Florida that can pass a P test.
Exactly.
And this is the thing. It's like, if we had the bodies, we'd make the deadline. We don't have the bodies. And so that's the other issue, is that when this opens in August, a whole bunch of people can pivot and go work on Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. Disney, however, has already made a priority that they want at least half of the bodies that worked on Galaxy's Edge to walk across the street and get cranking on the Star Wars boutique hotel.
Oh, yeah. So the work has actually started with that, but it looks like it's land clearing and
sewer
grading.
Pipes, conduit, that sort of thing.
Drainage, yeah. Okay.
But, by the time Galaxy's Edge opens, supposedly they'll pour the concrete and they'll then be ready to go vertical. But yeah, it's a bodies situation. It's going to be amazing, and it's going to be right in the center of the park, and it will be a giant people eater. But, there are just only so many construction workers available. And right now, because of, all the people who are booking hotel packages to be there in late August, it's like, I'm sorry, that's the priority.
All right, Jim, one other quick thing for news. Disney filed this patent called interactive space based on predicted events. So it's about displaying content on a screen if certain unexpected but might occur things happen in a vehicle. Now, you're probably thinking that this is for ride vehicles, but in ride vehicles, as we all know, the ride itself is largely predetermined. Disney knows what's going on in most of the rides, most of the time. The drawings in this patent, though, Jim, show a car and mentions both virtual reality and augmented reality. So the idea is that, let's say and I'm guessing here, but you're driving in a car or you're driving in a bus, you come to a stoplight, you know that you're stopped, and it's right by Disney's Hollywood Studios. The patent would say, hey, we've got some technology that says if we're by Hollywood Studios and we're stopped at a light and we know where the light is, because you can know those things from GPS, let's display some stuff on a window that's relevant for being near studios and stopped at a stoplight. Jim, what is Disney thinking here? Is this? It doesn't seem like it's for a ride. What are they thinking of for uses of this technology?
In a weird sort of way, you pretty much hit on it, that if you're on a internal Disney transportation system, it's when Flower and Garden is going on, or Food and Wine, or...
Oh, yeah. Okay.
You have this captive audience, whether they're riding the monorail, whether they're riding the bus system, or that sort of thing. When you're riding something like the Magical Express, there are those of us who will, in fact, watch the highlight reel, the sort of presentation of what's new at the park, that sort of thing. But for a lot of folks, it's like, it's a television. I got my iPhone. I'm face down in it. Disney feels like if we do it on the windows, if we surprise people, they'll be that much more likely to pull their faces up out of their phones. And that really is what this is about. There's this whole generation of folks who spend big bucks to go down to Central Florida, who then walk around, face down on their phone. You can't get people like that to spring for a dining package, something that they might go for while they're on vacation spontaneously.
And if they're doing this in ride vehicles and buses and minivans and stuff like that, they'll be less inclined to be stuck in their phones and more inclined to look look out at the stuff around them. It's a good idea for Disney, actually.
I agree.
It's a way of getting people's attention. It's not bad at all.
I agree.
All right, Jim, we're going to take a quick commercial break. Right after that, alert listener Lucy H. has sent in a survey that Disney's been circulating around new characters for the parks and how you want to interact with them. We'll talk about that right after this.
This is an ad.
I hate it!
An ad for crisp, refreshing Angry Orchard hard cider.
That is refreshing.
An ad that interrupted your podcast.
I hate being interrupted!
To remind you to stop being angry at me and crack open an Angry Orchard.
That's a good idea.
Don't get angry. Get Orchard. Angry Orchard Cider Company, LLC. AngryOrchard.com. Please drink responsibly. Angry Orchard is a hard cider with other natural flavors.
This episode is brought to you by CBS. DMV is a brand new workplace comedy turning misery into magic and chaos into comedy. Starring Harriet Dyer and Tim Meadows, DMV is here to serve you laughs. Watch Mondays at 8:30, 7:30 Central on CBS and streaming on Paramount+.
All right, Jim. One of our listeners, Lucy H., sent in a survey. She seems to get a lot of surveys, doesn't she, Jim?
She does. And
She does. She's on the right list. Yeah,
more to the point, God bless her for sending them to us.
I know, right? Yeah, thank you. So she sent in this survey, and it's a bunch of questions that Disney's been asking about different character properties, like owned by different studios that Disney now owns, and how you want to interact with them in the parks. Do you want to go through this for us, Jim?
Yeah, I spent this morning sort of going through what Lucy shared and sort of breaking it down into easier format for us to work with here. But what's interesting is the way Disney describes, as part of the survey, how you can interact with the characters while you're at the parks. So to their way of thinking, there's three very specific ways that you encounter the characters when you're in the parks. There is the characters you meet in person. You get to interact with them personally. You can have a conversation, hug them, pose for a photo, get an autograph, that sort of thing. There are then the characters that you see from a distance that are in a parade or in a show. You are entertained by them, but you don't get to personally meet them. And then there were the things like, for example, over at Pop Century, the oversized Roger Rabbit figure, or the Lady and the Tramp giant figures that are over at the All-Star Movies, where, you have basically a picture opportunity with a character that's, again, a decoration at a hotel or a theme park atmosphere.
Or like the giant Buzz Lightyear in Toy Story.
That's exactly. But you don't get to personally meet these characters. And what they were doing was trying to sort of gauge the temperature between, let's give you a list of characters. And is this a character you want to meet personally? Is this a character you want to see just from a distance and be entertained in a show? Is it okay for them to just be sort of an atmospheric, or do you not want to meet them at all? And then the list itself is how they broke it down. I mean, there was first the group that they basically referred to as classic Disney, which pretty much is any of the characters from any of the films from, say, 1967 back. So, you had Prince Charming from Snow White. You had Grumpy from, likewise, Snow White. But Tinkerbell, the Fairy Godmother from Cinderella, Maleficent from Sleeping Beauty, Mary Poppins.
So basically the first generation of Disney characters.
They then broke it down to another iteration where it was the second golden age of Disney animation. So you had, going from Ariel from The Little Mermaid all the way through to Lilo from Lilo and Stitch. And then a further sort of breakdown of where the characters were, the Walt Disney Animation Studios era. So, for example, you got Olaf from Frozen and Flynn Rider from Tangled, but the CG Disney films. And then to further sort of make a refinement here, they also had Walt Disney Animation or television animation characters. So you had Scrooge McDuck from DuckTales or Max Goof from Goof Troop or the Goofy Movie.
So it's interesting that they started off by breaking these down basically by time, by era, and now it's by studio. Okay, go ahead. So is there Pixar?
Yeah, Pixar's in the mix, and we have everyone from Mike Wazowski to Remy from Ratatouille. We have the Cruz Ramirez interactive, photo op car, likewise Lightning himself. And then they actually made a point of Miguel from Coco, but in puppet form. And in fact, I'm sure you've heard about that show that they brought over from California Adventure that they're doing in front of the Mexico Pavilion. That features,
super popular. Yeah, I saw it a couple weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But then they also asked about Jack Skellington and Sally from Nightmare Before Christmas, who have been, hugely popular in California.
Yeah, well, plus Halloween is only growing in popularity in the States, too.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And then, of course, not a surprise with Galaxy's Edge, they're asking about Star Wars, and we get characters from the original trilogy like R2-D2, Luke Skywalker, Darth Vader, Lando Calrissian. I was kind of intrigued to see him in the mix. And likewise Ewoks, but interesting, they also ask about Darth Maul from the prequels and Captain Phasma from the more recent films. And then, of course, not a surprise, Marvel.
Yeah, but what can they can't do the main characters in Marvel, right?
The fact that they're asking, here in the list, they mentioned Scarlet Witch from the Avengers. Now, Scarlet Witch is one of the characters who's going to be getting a limited series as part of the Disney Plus subscription streaming service.
Oh, really?
So,
well, they got to build content, so yeah, I understand that.
Now, on the other hand, as part of this survey, they did ask both about Thor and the Incredible Hulk, and you and I both know that the theme park rights for those characters are held not only by Universal Parks and Resorts, but the IMG Worlds of Adventure folks, the folks who built the indoor park in Dubai.
So why would they even ask about them, though? Because they know they're not going to bring them into Disney World.
You don't put, especially Disney, the way they write a survey. Take, for example, there's another portion of the survey where they ask people about franchises. And in this franchise section, there's, they ask questions, for example, about Wonder Woman. And it's like, look, Disney doesn't own Wonder Woman. That's Warner's.
It's a DC. It's a DC.
Likewise, Batman. But at the same time, the fact that right in the middle of, how do you feel about this franchise? One of the properties they're asking about, Len, is Home Alone.
Home Alone.
Yeah, the 1990 John Hughes. Remember Macaulay Culkin, beating up?
Oh, I remember the film. I'm just saying of all of John Hughes' work, that would be the one at the bottom of my list of what I'd want to say.
If you're thinking from a theme park show point of view, if you were watching a stunt show built around the Wet Bandits trying to break into the house, we've been talking about what they might do with the Void. So the very fact that this is even in the mix is fascinating. And out of all of the Muppet characters, the only one that Disney asked about as part of the survey was Miss Piggy.
That's kind of unbelievable. Why? Not even Kermit?
Not even Kermit.
Huh.
Kind of intriguing because he had a meet and greet out in California, the Oswald the Lucky Rabbit that they recently shut down. The question that I thought was fascinating was that they asked people who were taking the survey, they wanted to get a sense of, well, what do you actually know? And so they had a question. Disney's not only classic Disney, but it also includes other universes. And which of the following universes is Disney? And they asked, do you consider DreamWorks part of the Disney universe? Which is kind of a trick question, Len, because there was that period where Disney was actually releasing DreamWorks' live action films through Touchstone. Right. They then also ask, do you know whether or not Fox, 20th Century Fox, is part of Disney? And then it's, okay, Marvel and Pixar and Star Wars. But then in the mix there is Studio Ghibli, which...
I had to look this up. So this is the Japanese animation.
Oh, yeah, great stuff.
Company,
but more to the point, Disney for a time through Buena Vista Home Entertainment not only made these available for home viewing, but I want to say Disney actually handled the theatrical stateside releases of these things.
Oh, that makes sense, because the Studio Ghibli's not going to release it on their own.
And then final question here. How many times have you been to a Disney theme park? Everything from 1 to more than 50 times, and also, don't know, can't remember, got hit in the head by a Mickey bar, and, that's like have amnesia. I think... Len, we're recording this on April 11th, and about 3 hours from now, the Disney Investor Day presentation is going to go, go live.
Oh, this is the big Disney Plus reveal, right?
Okay, so, and we'll be posting this show like 4 days from now. So about this time, there were going to be a lot of people talking crazed Disney fans off of ledges because they're going to have learned that The Simpsons are a huge part of Disney Plus, that every single Simpson episode in the history of the animated series is going to be available through Disney Plus.
Jim, you've seen the meme that where the Simpsons predicted everything.
Yes.
So they actually predicted this, right? They predicted once that back in '98 that they would be owned by Disney.
There you go. They did a survey work as they were considering the Fox acquisition, and what they found out about The Simpsons is that when they asked people when they thought about The Simpsons in comparison to Disney, they thought it was as strong a brand as Disney, that people immediately knew what The Simpsons were. They were familiar with a lot of the characters. This was a defined world. And, it was like, do you have a problem with The Simpsons being part of Disney? And it's like, no, we don't.
Is the deal that Universal has for its theme parks with The Simpsons characters as ongoing and as ironclad as the one that they've got for Marvel characters?
It's actually more in the style of the Harry Potter deal.
Does it have an end date?
It has renewal points.
Oh.
I want to say it's 5 and 10 year renewals at a time. And now you got to remember, the Potter deal actually does run out, I want to say, in 2030. That's provided that at each of the 5 and 10 year renewals, that something doesn't trip it up.
Is it automatically renewing unless, or is it that both sides have the option to renew it? Or that either side has the option to renew it?
There are certain thresholds that have to be, obviously there's, the financial considerations. And it's an absolute river of cash, Len, so nobody wants to disrupt it. On the other hand, there were certain thresholds for maintenance, for maintaining the area. Disney evidently still sends somebody over to Universal once a month to sort of walk around Superhero Island and make sure that everything's painted and maintained to Mac, because evidently that's a deal killer if they can prove that they're not putting the time and the effort into the Marvel stuff. They can start to shut down the deal. And which, again, when you hear that, suddenly the upgrading of the film for Spider-Man and the redoing of the Incredible Hulk coaster takes on a new meaning. Anyway, getting back to The Simpsons, the folks at Universal, the Simpsons ride has been a smash hit, out in Universal Hollywood since May of 2008, and the Florida version opened a month before that. So, and they've since built Fast Food Avenue at Universal Florida, and they've done the whole Springfield, USA area on the upper lot. So Universal wants to keep this going. What's going to get interesting, in much the same way that we're seeing a Spider-Man attraction being added to DCA, we may not get the produced by Imagineers Simpsons stuff stateside, but there are Disney theme parks around the globe, and The Simpsons is a global franchise, so really, really don't be surprised if you see The Simpsons out there. And if you watched, for example, Freeform just this past weekend, Len, they did an Ice Age marathon. They ran 4 20th Century Fox's Ice Age movies back to back to back to back.
Were there like 4 of those, 5 of those, something like that?
Yeah, there's 5 of them so far, plus 2 holiday specials, ice shows. This is a huge brand, Len. And Disney Plus, look at that and then be prepared to see that sort of attitude filter into the parks, Len. It's all Disney. In Bob Iger and Bob Chapek's eyes, this is all fodder for the parks. Back in 1987, when Star Tours first opened at the parks, there were people who were angry about that as well. They felt that this isn't Disney, and it's like, well,
eventually.
There you go. There you go. So
it's all Disney.
Yeah.
All right, folks, that's going to do it for our show today. For more of our other shows, head on over to disneydish.bandcamp.com. And we are produced fabulously by Aaron Adams. Go catch his Coachella set this weekend at the Outdoor Theater between LMA and Rufus Del Sol. Don't forget to go into iTunes and rate our show and tell us what you'd like to hear next. For Jim, this is Len. We will see you on our next show.